What is up, guys? This is Silver Warrior here, and today I wanted to discuss generic bullion. Is it worth it? So this is going to be a new series I'll be doing for silver. Just every type of silver that's out there, I'll be discussing whether or not it's worth it. And to do that, I'll cover the ups and downs of that type of silver, and then I'll deliver my final verdict of whether or not it's worth it. So, for generic bullion, let me start with the positives, of course. I want to get those down so we know at least there's something good about it. For one, silver bullion, or generic bullion I should say, tracks the price, spot price of silver very well. So therefore, if the silver price booms, that means that you can make a huge profit off of it. There's a bubble forming on the silver market, you can make a lot of money. Another good thing about generic bullion is that since it is very low premium, it's very easy to stack and accumulate, and it's the best way to preserve your wealth of every type of silver because all of its value that you're paying, everything you're paying for, is tangible value. It's not, fabricated value like high premium stuff. So whatever it says it's worth, it truly is worth that much. You don't have to worry about finding the right buyer like you would with, higher premium stuff. This, you can literally just offload it whenever you want. And that's another thing, is that it is very easy to sell, as well as being very easy to buy, which brings me to the point of that it is extremely accessible. Generic bullion is the gateway to other forms of silver, I believe. It is what silver stackers generally start with. I know it's what I started with, by purchasing a few of these 1 ounce bars in here. That's how I started my silver stack. It was all started with this bar and this bar right here. These are the two bars that started it all for me, the Golden State and the OPM. Those are the two that, started out my stack, really. And therefore, those are the two, or that's really what I started with, was generic silver. So it is very accessible for beginners. And it just does hold, like I said, its value much better than something like, a coin that costs 20 times melt, because of the fact that, whatever the silver price is worth, that's how much this thing's going to be worth. It's, one and done. It's not like you have to worry about it taking a while to move or anything like that, because of the fact that to certain people, this piece is worth a certain amount of money. To everybody, this is worth an ounce of silver because it's an ounce of silver, Which is another great thing, is that you can bring this to any country and it will have value. Something like a US coin, right? An American silver eagle, let's say, it's respected in other countries, but it's not as valuable as it is here because it's a US coin. Just like this Canadian maple leaf is probably a little bit cheaper in the US than it would be in Canada. And it really applies to constitutional stuff. I know people over in countries like Britain and places like that, where they say that U.S. coins that are worth a lot here are extremely cheap there, and because there's simply no demand for them. They don't mean anything to anybody over there. But I could take this 1 ounce silver bar, no matter where I go, it has value. It has the same value, just translated to a different currency. Now, I do believe actually silver prices are higher in different countries. I don't think it's like one locked price around the world. I'm pretty sure in different countries it's locked to a certain value. So it would have a different value in a different country, but it's not like there's different amounts of demand for it so severely that this might be worth nothing somewhere. Silver is always valuable, so no matter where you go, if you bring silver with you, you could always sell it and make some kind of profit. Now, I'm sure in countries that are communist, silver might be worth a lot more because of the fact that I believe you would not be allowed to own silver in certain communist countries, like North Korea especially. I would imagine would ban owning pretty much anything that would allow you to acquire more wealth than you're just making. How much everybody's getting, besides the few that are corrupt and are allowed to do whatever they want, but they like to pretend like that doesn't happen. But anyway, that's not really too important here. So generally though, in most countries, this would hold around the same amount of value. Now, of course, it's not all positive with this stuff. It's not like this generic bullion is just perfect. There's many problems with it too. It tracks the price of spot, or it tracks whatever the price of silver is. That also means, what if the silver price collapses? Look at 2 years ago when you were buying at $22.50 an ounce. What if the price collapses again, and all of a sudden it's worth, just like now, where you still have not gotten your premium back. or not premium, I'm sorry. You still have not gotten just the spot value of the silver back if you bought in April of 2014. You know, if you were buying in April of 2014, so a little bit over 2 years ago, you would not, still have not gotten your money back yet to this day, even though the prices are supposedly bubbling, which I did personally predict that, so I'm not saying like that it's necessarily wrong. I mean, I did say that the prices would bubble, so I do think that's possible. But even with that going on, the silver, you still have not seen 20 an ounce yet in this year, or the year 2016. The silver is still not broken 20 an ounce yet, and maybe it will today because of how much the prices have been flying up. But it's still, you have not seen that spot value back on it, so you have lost out since April. Now, a good thing, of course, is that this stuff you kind of just stack it and forget it, somewhat, unless there is a bubble, because you don't have to be worried about selling it. You know, as long as you can afford what you're buying, you really shouldn't have to worry about selling this. And if you're in for the long run, you can just stack this away and forget about it. So you haven't lost money if you bought in April of 2014 yet. You don't lose money until you sell. Yeah, I wouldn't lose anything until I sold these bars. And most of these I bought when prices were much lower. Like I bought this in August of 2015, or not August. I'm sorry. God, this was almost a year ago. Come to think of it, this was more like July. Yeah, this was in July of 2015 when I got this. So not this early in the month. It was later on. But I got these two in September. This one, September 2015. This one in let me think. I'm trying to remember the month, March. So I haven't bought most of these at too high of a price, but I do have there is the fact that I did buy some of these for probably higher than I should have. Although, kind of think of it, even the first stuff I personally bought, I started stacking so late that I bought these in September. These two, my first two bars in September of 2014. So actually, the price, I've never bought for anything above what the price is now. But for the people who stacked long enough ago, then they'll know that you still haven't seen back, the amount of money that you would have paid for this generic bullion. Which another problem with it is that it's almost impossible to get this stuff cheap, since its value is so solidified. Unless you find somebody who really doesn't know what they have, and that can be tough to do. That's not a guarantee. You can't get it for below what it's worth. In an online auction, you'll never get these bars for under, their melt value. It's never going to happen. I mean, especially not an auction on eBay. People are always going to bid it up to what it's worth. I mean, that's just the way that it works. It's not like you can get these super cheap, but I've gotten certain coins really cheap for 1/10 of their value, or some ridiculous amount like that online, because of the fact that people didn't know how much they were worth from the pictures. This stuff, though, a 5-ounce silver bar is always worth 5 ounces of silver, and it's always going to go for that much in an online auction. So it is hard to get this stuff kind of cheaply. But I mean, other than that, there's really not too many flaws with it for me. I mean, like I said, silver price collapses, you can be screwed, but you can still hold on to it. And it is tougher to get this stuff cheap, but it is maybe possible. And even if, it is still a great way to hold on to your wealth and to preserve your wealth. So yeah, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and that is it for this one. Peace, love, and much respect.